So what happens when globalization takes all the world's cultures and smashes them together into a giant global hug? Well, you get a globalized culture, and baby, that's what this video is all about. So if you're ready to get them brain cows milked K-pop style, well, let's get to it. So throughout this course, we've checked in with all kinds of different cultures, and we've seen how those cultures have interacted with one another in various ways. But in this period, new communication technologies like the internet and new transportation technologies like air travel meant that people from various cultures around the world were interacting at a far greater pace than ever before. And the result has been the rise of a recognizable global culture, which, to be fair, has had strong tones of Western culture dominating. And look, it's not as though local cultures have been erased by this global culture, but local cultures have certainly been deeply influenced by it. So that's the context, and now let me give you some examples. First, the arts have been influenced by globalization, and here I'm going to talk about how local and regional styles of music have become global phenomena. For example, reggae music originated in Jamaica, but thanks to the popularity of Bob Marley, this regional form of music has become known and loved throughout the world. Like literally, I love Bob Marley, you love Bob Marley, somebody's grandma in India loves Bob Marley, he's everywhere. And then another example is the rise of K-pop, which began as a distinct musical style in South Korea in the early 2000s, but a decade later, viral videos of K-pop groups like BTS spread across the world through social media, and now K-pop is a global phenomenon. How long do I have to wait, and how many more nights do I have to stay up? Am I right? Second, a global culture of entertainment has risen as a result of globalization. For example, the United States produces a metric buttload of international films in the center of their movie industry, namely Hollywood. Like the top 10 highest grossing films of all time were produced there. And you're like, who cares? You care, my young pupil, because these films are released globally and draw millions of viewers across hundreds of different cultures, and therefore they have contributed to the creation of a global culture. And do you remember when I said earlier that the global culture has strong tones of Western values? Yeah, one big reason for that is the global export of American entertainment. Like, come on, who doesn't love it when Captain America is finally found worthy to wield Mjolnir? And the answer is apparently everyone in the world, because Avengers Endgame is one of the highest grossing films of all time. But wait a minute, who was that guy again? Oh, Captain America. Like the hero is Captain America. And if you're American, you're probably not getting my point, so let me put it this way. Like, can you imagine Americans lining up by the millions to see a movie whose hero is named Captain China or Captain Russia? I mean, if I know Americans, it's probably not gonna happen. So that's why some critics see the prevalence of Hollywood films throughout the world as a kind of cultural imperialism. These films are heavily freighted with American and Western values, and since their reach is so broad, some people worry that local cultures which hold opposing values are threatened by such globalized entertainment. Oh, and by the way, if you need help studying for that national exam from Captain Baldy here, then you should for sure check out my AP World Heimler review guide, which has everything you need to study as fast as possible. It's got whole unit review videos that you're not going to see here on YouTube, note guides to follow along, practice questions, practice exams, and answer keys for every dang bit of it. So if that's something that you're into, check the link in the description. Anyway, let me hasten to add that globalized entertainment hasn't only been influenced by the United States. In fact, another example in the entertainment industry is Bollywood, which is a massive film industry based in Mumbai, India. And Bollywood produces far more films than Hollywood, and they're known for their fantastic musical numbers, their colorful visuals, and the melodramatic storytelling. And even though Bollywood films primarily cater to Indian audiences, the films have gained popularity worldwide, particularly in South Asia, the Middle East, and diaspora communities. And then the third manifestation of globalized culture is the rise of global sports. So spectator sports became a truly global phenomenon in the 20th century due to televised international events like the Olympics and the World Cup. And both events, while certainly international in nature, are also platforms for the promotion of nationalism as athletes from various countries compete for the ultimate prize. But the global nature of these events are definitely apparent when you consider just how much of the Earth's population tunes in to watch them. Like during the last Summer Olympics, more than 3 billion people around the world watched the games, and then the last World Cup gathered something like 1.5 billion viewers globally, a viewership that will make even Mr. Beast poop his pants. Okay, now let's turn the corner and consider how globalization has led to the rise of a global consumer culture. And by definition, that describes a lifestyle devoted to spending money on mass-produced material goods. And though they're not entirely responsible for this, the United States has played a big role. So after the end of World War II, the United States shifted its tremendous industrial capacity, which had produced enormous amounts of munitions for the war, squarely towards the production of consumer goods. And these mass-produced goods included clothing and household appliances and just about anything else you can think of, like appliances that can print your face on toast. You know what I've been missing at breakfast? Eating my own face. Anyway, with the rise of the advertising industry, companies were able to transform America into a consumer culture whose economy largely rose and fell on the number of mass-produced goods that the population was willing to buy. And because the United States, as I mentioned earlier, had an oversized influence on the global culture and economy after World War II, consumer culture became a global phenomenon. The result was that many countries throughout the world either became consumers of these brands or producers of their own global brands. And you know a lot of these global brands, like you've got McDonald's or KFC. And hey, do you want your mind blown? Of all all the places in the world, where do you think you're going to find the highest number and concentration of KFC restaurants?
America?
I know that's what you want to say, but no, it is China. What? Yeah, for whatever reason, China loves them some world-famous Kentucky Fried Chicken. Or consider Coca-Cola. It's a brand that originated in the United States, but in the second half of the 20th century, the brand expanded to a dizzying number of places throughout the world. But again, it's not just American companies who represent global brands. I reckon you've heard of a little car company called Toyota, which is a Japan-based multinational corporation which sells cars in 170 countries throughout the world. And then finally, a massive contributor to the development of our consumer culture is the rise of online retailers which help facilitate the global flow of goods. For example, Alibaba is an online Chinese retailer that sells consumer goods to people all across the world, and eBay is an American online retailer that facilitates online auctions for about 135 million users throughout the world, only half of which live in the United States. Okay, click here to keep reviewing for Unit 9, or you can click here to grab my AP World Heimler Review Guide, which is everything you need to study for that exam as fast as possible. I'm glad we got to hang out, and I'll catch you on the flip-flop. Heimler out.